Katie, you're our grand finale. You're our last guest speaker. But Katie's one of the best, so we're lucky to have her here this morning.
Says one of the best. We're lucky to have you. Yeah, my name is Katie Laughlin. You may have seen me. I'm a TCC employee. And Sorensen, I'm one of the main freelancers, I think, for Northern Oklahoma. One of the few who, my goal out of this program, I graduated here in '99 with my AA. And had already had a bachelor's prior and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And right after graduation, ran into deaf people, and the rest is history. They said, take a class. What, you don't like me finger spelling forever? So kind of fell into interpreting as another language. I was going to give you 10 tips for new practitioners or new interpreters in the field, kind of off the cuff. But based on, I've been working now, I think about 18 years, which really dates me. But there's still something to learn, and you never actually arrive in this field. And people are going to say the darndest things, and you're going to get to interpret them, and especially kids, and especially older adults. So there's always something to challenge yourself with linguistically, because English. From what I've seen, number one, I would say learn to breathe. Because when we bring our own anxiety into an interpreting or a teaching situation, it affects the whole environment in the room. And so if we can learn, I don't know, it's more of a mindfulness, but if we can learn how to put on the mask before you walk in the room, or to calm whatever's going on at home, leave it in the car, leave it at the door, depending on who your instructor was that told you, it really sets the tone for the whole assignment, and sometimes your day, because life happens. I mean, third semester of interpreting program, life happens to all of us. We joke that, like, whose turn is it to cry? Because it was all the different things you were learning, and the mental overload, and, you know, your own needs and family needs and holidays coming up, especially in the fall semester. But if we can learn to breathe, and as you move into voicing assignments, never tell people that you only work one way. Oh, I don't voice. Because we always work in two directions. And that's who we are. It's actually moving into our first language. But part of that breathing, start out strong, lag. I had to learn for years that lag, oh, you're supposed to use it. I never used it, I just lagged. And so come out with a strong phrasing for your first, you know, back when I was younger, you know, when I lived in Illinois, and then breathe again. Catch that chunk, because otherwise, and I found early on in working at VRS, everything as a female ends up in a question. And when you're voicing for a male, they don't talk like that. So kind of editing our language as a primarily female profession, that breathing helps our processing for number one, but it also helps us to formulate the tone of the message. If we sound nervous and the deaf person's not, immediately the hearing person is on edge, questioning our skill, questioning, are we really voicing what that person is signing? So it adds an element of professionalism right along the way, that they may be awkward in the silence at the beginning, but it really works to your benefit because you can phrase it just perfectly. It may not be their exact signs, but it's what they meant. And that sets the whole tone for boss and employee, for counselor, for doctor-patient relationships. And it allows you to kind of unroll that list of vocabulary for that certain situation, you know, for that cardiac patient or for that diabetic patient, that they're going to be talking about these elements of their health. And it makes the deaf person be more of a full participant in their own health, which is why we're there in the first place. As individuals, number two, I'd say know your body and know your limitations. If you are allergic to bee stings, have that EpiPen at all times. If you, part of my loss of voice is that I have a home visit where there was a cat present yesterday, and that is my kryptonite. That will take me down in just 2 seconds. And I carry Benadryl. I carry cold medicine. I carry ibuprofen and Tylenol because I'm on the road. My office is my car, and if I don't have what I need, then I'm automatically going in at a loss to a situation. So know your allergies. Another funny thing is I've had doctors say before they do a procedure, because we'll scrub in as interpreters often enough, he'll turn to the interpreter and say, "You're going to be okay, aren't you?" And I thought, because he's had multiple interpreters, that when he catheterizes that heart and that blood spurts 4 feet across the room, the interpreter went down, and now he has 2 patients. Or if you can't handle formaldehyde, or seeing an IV go in, turn down those assignments. Or after you faint or get woozy the first time, for me it also is eyes. There are a lot of injections, retinal injections, and that, maybe I watched Clockwork Orange too many times, but not my thing. I usually, if it's an eye doctor and it's not just your basic dilation, I'm going to give that one up for someone else who might be able to do it better. Number 3, have good support. Your partner, who you're dating, who you're married to, your family members, know who your positive people are, because you're going to need them. Because life happens to you, but you're going to see a lot of life as interpreters. And it's called vicarious trauma. And whether it doesn't go away when you walk out of that office or that house, and you carry that, and you can't ever really talk about it. So have a therapist who is a clinician that at what in the room stays in the room. Have a mentor who's an older, more experienced interpreter, where you can say, "Oh my gosh, this happened on the job and I don't know where it went south, but it totally went south and I feel nauseous about it," or "I never want to go back in front of that doctor again." And you can just process that with someone who's in the field or someone who's a confidential professional. I really thought that wasn't going to be something I need, and over the years, I think it saved me. It saved the longevity of being in the profession, because I've hit burnout probably 3 times in 18 years, and I've just had to step back and make huge changes, because I wasn't taking care of me. I was giving, and I wasn't tanked up. I wasn't full, and I was carrying too much of other people's burdens. It's kind of spiritual in a way. But make sure you've got a good support system. Number 4, wear a watch. And it's funny, I don't care if you get one from Ross, that's $15. But when, with having the Apple Watches or having phones, I've had hearing professionals say, "Got somewhere to be," or "Checking your messages," or "I'm still paying for your time." And we're deaf are a protected class, and that's why we're mandated by the ADA. They're a protected class of people. But medical professionals professionals in general on who it is a burden to call the interpreter, still see us as a line item on their budget for the year. And the more we show up and we look professional and we don't schedule our jobs too far, too closely in between, or we let the front desk know when we go in that I'm running short, I've got about an hour to be here, and then I've got to go to another appointment. The more we provide that and don't check our watches, or please silence your phones, because some of those ringtones are really, really distracting. I would say number 5, dress with a job in mind. Can't tell you how many times I've been called to do a high school or college graduation, and my team has shown up in a skirt, which is great. But at TCC, the platform's about that high, and you've got several hundred down below, and try to keep your knees together as a female. And for a 3-hour graduation ceremony, and just having to, I don't know, it's not a comfortable situation. So I would say have at least one pair of black dress pants that you can just go to. Because when in doubt, black dress pants go everywhere. I have 3 of the same pair. A dry cleaner laughs at me. But they fit with everything. I mean, I can dress them up with a suit coat. I can dress them down with a t-shirt if I need to for a school setting. But basically, when you go in somewhere again with hearing people thinking we're just another bill to them, the better we dress and the better we show up when we're observing, when we're teaming, when we're interning, the more we look like the professionals that we want to be seen as. And sometimes we have to overdress a little bit to get that respect, especially as females too. We're still in a very male-dominated area. And just dressing sometimes reminds me to notch it up a little bit and gives me a little bit more confidence when I walk into a room that I'm not going to be the worst dressed in the room and I can compete, especially courtroom when you walk in there with all those attorneys in those big suits. Number 6, don't overpack. When you go on an interpreting assignment, like this kind of weather, there's a coat, there's a bag, for me, there's a coffee mug. Try to leave what you can in the car. Bring what you need, but try not to bring too much. Usually you can put a bag underneath a chair or in a corner, but too much gets to be a lot. And think about that before you go into a situation. If you can park closer and just go in without a coat, do it. Or if you can have some sort of one of the drapes, the shirts that they have, like swing drapes, then use that in lieu of a coat because it dresses you up, but it doesn't add bulk. And you can, it's amazing in exam rooms especially how little room there is when you have a third person between doctor, patient, possibly another family member to be another set of eyes, and then an interpreter. It gets really small in there. Number 7, find your outlet. Do something outside of your work. And I didn't take this seriously enough coming out of the program. Be with hearing people. Listen to how they talk, because after a while you start speaking in gloss, and it's hilarious. But, I lose my English, and I'm just going to sign something and then come up with the English second. But run, do yoga, bring your natural oils, do something that builds you up, that you love outside of work, that no one else can be a part of, something that makes you, don't lose that part. When I first joined interpreting, I thought, there's no more music, I'm going to just get into the deaf community, and that didn't last very long, because I grew up in a very musical family, and it's a huge part of our family culture. And so over the years, I've added that back, and it's really just given me a lot more than leaving it behind did. Number 8, don't be a martyr. There are tons of deaf people, and every day, even though they're going to appointments, a percentage of them will go without an interpreter. So don't fall prey to the, Obi-Wan, you're the only one. That is something that's over your skill level. It's something you're really not comfortable with, but they need it. Check yourself when you accept. If possible, work with someone who's more skilled, or go in with a buddy. You're in a cohort here. Call somebody else. It's sometimes people have their own skill level. Like I don't have children, and so when they call for an assignment that's more elementary level, I put myself at the bottom of the list because I'm not a mother. I have studied, language acquisition. I have signing skill, but I may not be the right one for that situation just because it requires something that I may or may not have. So, whereas I would rather go in a legal situation because I've gotten a lot of legal training, I'm more comfortable in those situations, and so I preference those with the agencies I work for just because I feel that's a strength. never stop challenging yourself. We never arrive, I think, in any profession, whether you're going into interpreting, we never are there. We're never it. I mean, there are famous interpreters. We see them on YouTube. We see them all over the internet. But they got there because they showed up and they were in a community or in a niche portion of interpreting for years. And they were there and they did a good job. They were seen. And so this is one of those professions where showing up year upon year, week upon week, month upon month, our commitment will build our name faster than doing South by Southwest or Lollapalooza or interpreting for a big name at a concert or, a nationwide, like president. You'll be better known other than our weather-related issues lately. But those interpreters got to that position and got called for those positions because of their faithfulness and because of their getting up and showing up. And I would say, I don't know if I've hit 10 yet, but be confident, not cocky. We're very fortunate that a language has been shared with us, and everybody has your own story about how you entered the deaf community or how you got into signing. And that is unique to every one of us. And that will be one of the first things that you'll be asked when you move to another city, when you move to another state. They'll ask, how did you learn sign language? And it's a huge cultural portion that has a lot of embedded meaning. And become comfortable with your story, because it's not where it ends, it's where it began. And so you're not, I don't know, we become a lot more than our job titles. We become a lot more than how we came into this field, and we may not be in it forever. I mean, there's a large percentage of interpreting community will have autoimmune diseases, and arthritis hits us. And I mean, statistically, a lot of things can just knock us out of the field really fast. But this is, it's an honor to be, as embedded as we can be for as long as we can be. And it's our calling, I think, to keep the confidentiality of the people that we work for, who have let us into their lives and let us in their most personal and vulnerable moments. And just to honor the fact that we get to see other humans on such a very human level. That said, for those of you who are going into interpreting, we need you. But we need you to be whole, and we need you for the long run. So take care of yourselves. Take breaks from the field as you need to, because life happens. And there's nothing shameful in taking a break, in taking another job for a while. I did. I went back into accounting for a year because I wasn't sure that I was really going to do this. And I wasn't sure where I fit. And sometimes those resting your processing, thinking about the language, thinking about where you really want to be and where you fit, you come back even stronger, I think, for that time off. So it's one of those things where don't be stubborn. Be mindful of where you are and give yourself what you need, because it's amazing work. It's amazing what we get to see as interpreters, and it's humbling that we actually get to do what we do. And it may not last forever, but I'm still enjoying it. That's all I have.
Wow, thank you, Katie. Thank you. I really wish I was writing notes and not interpreting. You got it, Casey?
I got
Awesome. All right.
Wow.